gutter is going to keep water around the foundation from the home. Again, water falling off a house, landing on ground, splattering mud is going to splash stuff on your siding. So whether it's vinyl, it could discolor, it could just make it look nasty. If it's cedar, water is going to be constantly hitting the side of your cedar. So you're going to have more water in that area than you do at the top portion. So you're going to see discoloration. Some of the other things that not having gutters will cause wet areas where you don't want areas, like your walkways. And if you have a patio or porch, every time you walk underneath it, you get water just pouring off the roof onto you. And then when the winter hits, it's the water that comes off that and just turns into ice. So then you have icicles everywhere. So having gutters where they can shed the water, get it off that roof, then you don't have to deal with the icicles. And if water and ice do melt into that, it can get in the gutter or gutter guard and freeze up on that as well. But typically the gutters are more for water. So when water's coming down, we just don't want water right next to the house. It'll cause your foundation to settle. It can cause especially if you go through droughts, that ground gets really wet and then all of a sudden you don't have a lot of moisture and the ground cracks and shrinks, then your house is going to start to move. So if you can keep that water directly away from the foundation, you won't have any worries about water penetrating your basement, subfloors. You don't have to worry about water, in areas you don't want. There's areas where you don't have any trees and a gutter guard's going to do you no good. So, but if you have any trees or you have leaves, period, gutter guard's important. You could pay somebody to come out, $50, $150 a year to clean out in the spring, and then another $100, $150 in the fall to come out, clean out the leaves. You kind of have to wait until all of the leaves fall and then pay somebody, or you're going to have to pay somebody mid-shoe and then another person at the very end. So let's just do that for 5 years and you pretty much bought gutter guards. So it's kind of pointless to just keep paying somebody. There's a chance of them falling and getting hurt, and then now you're dealing with somebody that could sue, or you have to take somebody to the hospital, or now you don't have a guy to do your gutter anymore. So, and we sell multiple kinds. It's kind of like if I sold stuff that I knew didn't work, then I feel like that's going to go against me. So I really don't, unless a customer stands by something and that's what they really want, then I will, sell that to them. But typically we have one product that really works great in all areas around here. It's got a fine high flow mesh on it, stainless steel over a corrugated aluminum metal. Essentially it screws down to the gutter and it boxes that gutter and makes it more rigid, but it only allows water to get through. It doesn't allow any granules. It doesn't allow any leaves, or mainly pine needles and your maple seeds, because those are very problematic. The only other gutter system that really keeps stuff out of the gutters close to what our product does would be like a gutter helmet or some type of metal cap. However, there's one big problem with those, and that's they typically go on top of the roof, and they usually go up anywhere from 4 to 12 inches onto the shingles, and they get screwed down. Problem is, if they're not done properly, they're definitely going to cause problems. If they're done properly, there's a chance that within 5 years, you definitely will need to replace the plywood when you get your roof replaced. And what I mean by that is when they screw holes through that metal into your decking, now you have a point of penetration for water to get to your plywood. Even with ice and water barrier, it doesn't matter. That technically will void your roof warranty. So I've seen people try to void that by taking that same metal and tucking it under the shingle. Again, we use a designated starter shingle that has a complete glue line on the bottom with the shingle that sticks to it. And that way, nothing can lift up. The last thing we want is a customer to lift those shingles, or a gutter guard company lift those shingles, slide anything underneath there and try to make that hold, because what will end up happening is that system will tear off at some point. And when you call for a warranty, there's going to be no warranty because you void it by breaking the seal. So nothing should ever touch the shingles when it comes to gutter guard or any type of gutter protection. The roof should be a roof system. The gutter should be a gutter system. And if you can't have those separate, then they shouldn't be used. That same gutter guard comes in multiple sizes. We have 5-inch, 6-inch. There's other sizes out there. So if you have something super odd, there's some that's half dish type gutters. There's custom made gutters. Anytime you get a steel building, they can make custom gutters for that in all different sizes. So gutter guards, same thing. You can get them in different sizes. Most common is going to be 5-inch, but anything else we still operate and do. Price wise, it's pretty affordable. I mean, when you break it down, it takes about 4 years worth of gutter cleanings to pay for a set of gutter guards. So after that fifth year, you're saving money. So plus it makes it look nice. The problem is people will wait and have their gutters cleaned to clean them one time in the fall. And I completely agree. I don't want to pay $100 a week to have somebody come clean my gutters. However, when those leaves get in there and they just keep building up and water keeps raining and coming down into the gutters, as they start to fill up, the leaves start to break down and they create acids which start to eat out the inside of that gutter material. There's a coating inside there that protects from that, but it can only do so much. It's not made to hold leaves. It's made to shed water. Another thing that can happen is leaves can get in there and they'll hold moisture. So when it rains, especially when it gets colder months, that water will just sit in there. It won't go anywhere. And as those leaves block the drainage where it can't drain out of your downspouts, it fills up. And as it fills up, that water fills up and backfills into the house. It can backfill and go up underneath the drip edge. It can come over the top, depending on which is higher or lower. Other things that'll happen is it starts to get even colder when you start to freeze. Same thing, as that freeze, you have all that weight in that gutter. That gutter is going to pull away from your house. It's going to cause it to deform. It's going to cause it to hold excessive weight. And a lot of times we go to houses that have issues with fascia and have issues going on with drainage. Typically their gutters are hanging or they've came away from the house, and that means they've been full and there's excess weight in there. So very important to protect those gutters from getting clogged. So if you're in an area where you have no trees, you don't need any gutter guard. If you're in an area where you got trees or your neighbor has trees, bottom line, if you're having to clean leaves out or you have water overflow in a gutter, you need gutter protection. So we typically will go out, we'll assess what you really need. You may only need it on half the house. You may need a full system. But typically we're just going to sell you what's going to work on your house. We don't want to sell you any more. We don't want to sell you any less. We just want it to work and be operational to keep you from having to have any maintenance.